Okay, so this what you see in front of you on the screen is my debate Torah I put together over the years about Purim. Over well, about
Are they like funny or like
they
current
are
Torah or
they're
like no?
really more Torah than funny.
Oh,
So that's why we can consider it a shiur more than a Purim Torah Purim Torah session.
oh,
That's why I call it specifically Torah's Purim, not Purim Torah. To distinguish between the two. So I wanted to focus on I'm happy to post the whole. It's kind of 100 some odd pages on the Google Classroom. I wanted to go through some of the stuff I've written over about Amalek over the years. And the first one here is something from a Sefer Priya 8, which is one of the early Hasidic Svarim. I think it's one. No, it's no Priya 8 is Chaim Prime Zaychik from 1900s. He writes that why does the Shem Hashem not appear in the Megillah? It says a fascinating thing. He says if the Shem Hashem would appear in the Megillah, it would be backhanded schus to Amalek, because Amalek would then have caused the Shem Hashem to appear in Tanakh at least one time, other than we would have found him, and therefore the Megillah doesn't want to give any schus to Haman or Amalek, and therefore the Shem Hashem is not mentioned. So people can't say, well, at least Amalek added more kedusha to the world by having more of a Shem Hashem. That's a cute idea. It's not my own, but let's go on to the next one, which is my own idea. Okay, so this is it says that Kiara case called Milchamal Hashem b'Amalek midor dor. It says at the end of Parshas Shmos, it's Parshas B'Shalach, where it's talking about the war of Amalek against the Jews. So then it says at the end of the parsha, Hashem took a let me turn up annotations here.
I did not mean to do that.
That's okay. Okay, I'm not sure how to erase that one though. Okay, there's a debate. Maybe if I stop sharing, start it again. Yeah. Okay. So Kiara case called Milchamal Hashem Amalek midor dor. So when you have that, it says Kiara case called Milchamal Hashem Amalek midor dor. It says that at the end of Parshas B'Shalach, and it says there the name of Hashem used there is Ka, Yud K, and the word case is, which is supposed to be kisei, is case Kaf Samech. So Chazal say the word kisei is missing because it only says Kaf Samech, and the word Ka for the name of Hashem is also missing, because it's only Yud Hey without the second part of the name, which is Vav Hey. And they say, Ein Hashem Sholem, Ve'ein HaKisei Sholem, Ad Shimach Zara Shel Amalek. The name of Hashem is not complete, and the throne of Hashem is not complete until Amalek is destroyed. And so until then, we only have a Kis and not a Kisei. We only have Ka, Yud K, and not Yud K Vav K. So what is this meaning? What is the meaning of incomplete Kisei and the incomplete Shem Hashem? So a case is the letters Kaf Samech. I'm going to translate it wrong, but if you imagine yourself a chair, see the chair? A chair has a back, which is like a kaf, and it has a bottom, which is like a samech. So a chair is a kaf samech, back and the bottom, right?
Wait, what's the kaf samach?
The kaf is like the back of the chair, and the samech is like the base of the chair. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll come back to that just a second. Now what? But the word itself, case, comes from the word lechasos, to cover, because a chair covers you. It covers your bottom and your back. So that is case. Kaf samech is a kisui, and a kisei covers you. Okay. So the samech is the only literal letter in the original Lashon HaKodesh that is completely closed. Right. It is therefore represents a concealment, like a lid. In the mechseh, which is a cover or kisui, and we'll skip the Kabbalistic part. And like already, a share is mistama kisei, COA standing for the letters Kaf Samech Aleph, because by one city it covers one. Also, the C, which is like an O, and its back is like a C. Okay, without the world, what's the Aleph represent? The Aleph represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yachichido Sha'olam, the first, only, and one of the world. So without the world is not Sholem without the Aleph. Ein Kisei Sholem. This world is really the Kisei HaKavod of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the throne of glory of Hashem. But if as long as Amalek is around, as long as evil in the world, the Hashem's presence in creation is covered. The Aleph, we don't perceive the Aleph. It's not around. Now, there it says, B'shlosh dvarim adam nikar. In three ways a person is recognized. Bekiso, bekaso, uvekoso. In a person's pocket, in a person's anger, and a person's cup. In other words, when a person has to spend money, you can tell whether he's really a generous person or not a generous person. When push comes to shove, how much he's willing to give, that shows if he's generous or not generous. When a person gets angry, the way a person acts during their anger, when they let loose, then they're moving barriers. Then you can really tell what a person's made of. If a person goes out of control, then that's one personality, not such a great one. A person who can retain control and restrain himself, that means you can say what a person's really about. The bekoso means, of course, when a person gets drunk. So when a person gets drunk, so then, again, barriers are down, and therefore you can tell who he really is inside. If you ever will see a Gdolei Torah who get drunk on Purim, so they start saying Divrei Torah. They start singing Zmiras V'Sishmachos HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You see somebody who are not yet Gdolei Torah, then they probably don't do the same thing. Okay, so what's fascinating about these three words, kis, kas, and kos, is that they all have a kaf samech, but they all have letters which come between the kaf and the samech. The kis has a yud between the kaf and the samech. The kas has an ayin which comes between the kaf and the samech, and the kos has a vav which comes between the kaf and the samech. So what does that mean? What do you mean shlosh dvarim dam nikar? Normally a person is mechuseh, person is covered up. There's a case, right? A covering. What breaks through that covering? What comes between the kaf and the samech? In kis the yud, in kas the ayin, and in kos the vav. By the way, altogether that makes up the name, as I wrote here, the name of some of those three letters, yud, ayin, vav, is again kos, which to me means that the main time you show what's really inside is when you get drunk. But also,
How is Yud Ayin Vav Kos?
Gotcha.
What?
Yud ayin vav gematria is how much?
Yud Ayin Vav. Ayin is 60,
70.
70, so it's 86.
And kos is how much? 86, right?
Yeah.
And it's also the gematria of the name Elokim. Now we know we have the name. We have the name Yud K Vav K, which is the name we were discussing a few moments ago. That's the name in which Hashem reveals his greatness in all his midas harachamim, and that only comes down into the world and is revealed to us at great times like Matan Torah, Yetzias Mitzrayim, and so on and so forth. Some people have joined the other Zoom, I realize. Can you give me a second? Let me tell the other people not to. Some people joined the Yerushalmi Mako Zoom, even though I'm not using that Zoom now. I'm not sure if I can tell them. Give me a second. Let me figure out if I can do that. One second. That is unfortunate. Let's see. No, I'm not sure I can tell them. If anybody has,
Can you just go on that one and tell them to leave?
Yeah, Rebbe.
Go
you
on.
can make
one.
you
what?
can make like Guy Schwartz co-host, then leave. Go on and tell them.
You could
Oh,
do
I
that,
don't-
or Rebbe, you could, if you, do you have a list of which boys are on there, or I can contact one of the boys?
The Seagulls.
You
The
can find-
Seagulls.
I can,
Tell them in the chat. The seagull.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can
We
text.
need to start the meeting to message them, and then we need to end this
Oh,
meeting.
they're not.
Let me see if I can text Rabbi Siegel. Hold on.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Let me see if I have his number on here. Otherwise, I'll go in my bag. 1 second. I think he's on here someplace.
Okay, so let's go on because I'm recording anyway. Mir Tashem, they'll be able to listen to this recording. So the name of Hashem Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is the name which reveals Hashem's presence in the world. The name Elokim is the name which was called Midas Adin because it's when Hashem doesn't reveal himself to us, then everything works more al pi din than al pi rachamim. That's the whole point of Hashem reveals himself to us like when a miracle happens to us, whether it's a miracle like Matan Torah or a miracle like the 6-day war. These are miracles which Hashem becomes revealed to us in his Midas HaRachamim. But usually Hashem is concealed to us, and therefore we call that the Midas Adin because there aren't those great and kind miracles which he does for us. But that name Elokim is always with us, even when we're in Golus, even when time of concealment. So that's why the name Elokim, I think, is hinted at by those letters Yud, Ayin, Vav, which in Gematria make up 86, to tell us, Hashem is always there. And there's a pasuk in Shir Shim which says that. It says, Hine ze omer achar kosleinu mashgiach min achalonos metzitz min acharakim. Hashem, it's a beautiful mashal. Hashem is always behind the wall. He's paying attention to us from the windows, looking in through the cracks. But he's always there. And that's like the name Elokim. You think sometimes you can't see Hashem. Sometimes it's not clear what Hashem wants from us, what Hashem is doing to us, but he's always there. And that's really what the lesson in the Megillah is. That why the name Hashem doesn't appear in the Megillah is because it's to tell us, you might not see Hashem directly, but he's always there. Sometimes you have to look between the Kaf and the Samach. If you take the Kaf and the Samach apart, then you get the name Elokim, which is there in the middle. And that represents our connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is always there, right? And there's another place in Megillah where this is, I think, appears. It says, Lech Kenos es kol Yehudim. Go gather all the Jews. Now, I wasn't able to do anything with the Gematria 56, which is Nun Vav in the middle. But I think that the idea of Kenos, if you gather all Jews together, you have Achdus, then that also breaks through the Kaf and Samach. That breaks through the covering and gives you the capacity actually to come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Hashem, of course, listens to our tefillos, and then he redeems us. Okay? So we know that, and this is Hamelech Stam in the Megillah. He said, so Chazal tell us, a Medrash, that I think it's an Eicha Rabbah, actually, not Esther Rabbah, tells us that anywhere where it says in the Megillah Hamelech, it refers not just to Achashverosh, it refers also on a different level to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if you pay attention during the Megillah reading, you can actually see how you pay attention during the Megillah reading, you can actually see how each Hamelech functions on two levels. That when Esther's talking to Hamelech to Achashverosh, she's also talking to Hamelech to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's both a request to the king and a tefillah to Hashem. And that happens throughout the Megillah. So, of course, the point is that Haman in Gematria is also the same thing. It's 95. Hamelech is 95 and Haman is 95. So what's the difference? Haman ends with the Nun Sophis. Nun Sophis means goes down. Nun Sophis means the fine. Nun is non-ashrei because Nun represents Nefila, to fall. A Nun Sophis is really falling because a Nun Sophis falls very far down. So Haman represents that which is going, which tries. So Haman said, according to Chazal, Haman wanted to make himself an Avodah Zarah. He really tried to make himself a deity, but then ultimately he fell. Hamelech, Reb Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin says it has a Chav Sophis, and a Chav Sophis is a letter which is unlike a Nun. It has a large roof which extends. That means it's held in place. A Nun is just a line, so it's very easy to slide down. but a chaf is held in place, and because of the longer roof. Also, in the Hamelech, it's preceded by a lamed. Now, back in the 1980s, when they first invented Hebrew word processors, the lamed was a very problematic letter. Can you figure out why the lamed was a problematic letter for a Hebrew word processor? Hebrew software?
No clue.
Because there's no letter like lamed in English. There's no letter which goes above the line of all the other letters. A lamed goes up in line, and that's why in OT doing it, but often you'll find they bend the lamed over because it causes them all sorts of problems in printing. They have to have a bigger gap between the lines because of the lamed. And Sefer Torah actually have to take into account the way lamed goes above the line, chaf goes below the line, chaf sofis, nun sofis. But there's no letter in English which goes above the line of all the other letters. Only in Hebrew you have such a letter, and that obviously there's a message to that. Let's see if somebody. Okay. There's a message to that. The message to that is that lamed, learning Torah, actually brings us above the level of everything else. And in other languages, I'm sure there's some languages that have letters go above the line, but English is a good example to show in contrast to Hebrew. So in English, there is no letter goes above the line. Only in Hebrew do we have the Lashon HaKodesh, we have the lamed which goes above. There's an interesting czar which says, I don't know if you've ever heard the fairy tale of Rapunzel or Havdil Alpha Havdolos, but there is a that the lamed, the top lamed is a tower, and in that tower the princess lives, and that princess is Am Yisrael. So we live in that tower because we can go up to higher levels. So Hamelech, you have the lamed, which brings down stuff from Shamayim, and that's why we're able to make a chaf sofis, which holds us strong. So even when we face the test of Olam Hazeh, which can bring us down to a low level, no, Hashem helps us out. That's what Torah does for us. Torah links us above, so it's not as dangerous when we go below. And that's why the Chaf Sofis is a longer letter, because it is held up, as opposed to Nun Sofis, which doesn't have that support. And Amiso recognized that. And when they recognized that, Chazal say, Megor Shabbos Hadar Ki Blua B'mei Achashverosh. They came back and they accepted Torah over again in the days of Achashverosh. And Rashi says, Me'avas Hanes, because of the love that they got from the miracle. So we saw that Torah is what gives us this special relationship with Hashem and allows us to be able to live through all sorts of difficulties. So that's why they accepted Torah again. And Chazal say that Gedol HaSoras Kabas, Yoser Memches Neviim Shom Yisrael. When Achashverosh took off his ring and gave it to Haman, that made people do tshuva to a much greater extent than all the Neviim of Klal Yisrael made Am Yisrael do tshuva. Much greater tshuva, massive tshuva. And so I think the source of Tabas, of course, has many different possibilities, but Tabas is like a samech. It's closed. So Gedol Asor Tabas means remove the concealment. Take that concealment away, then we can overcome Amalek. Then when we look, just like we broke up the case, the kisui, remove the samech, it's the same idea, and then Amalek is destroyed. Now, there is a interesting thing about, just let me find the next place I wanted to talk to you about this. I forgot. The name of Hashem, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, it's not complete until Amalek is destroyed. What's the name of Hashem? So there's a beautiful, I forget who says, I think I saw this in a sefer on davening by Rabbi Eliyahu Mook, a very classic sefer on interpretation of davening. He says that Yud-Kei Vav-Kei is an acrostic. That means each letter begins another word. It's the acrostic for Yismechu Hashamayim V'Sogel Ha'aretz. Yismechu starts with the Yud. Hay Hashamayim starts with the Hay. Vav V'Sogel starts with the Vav. And then Ha'aretz is another Hay. Yud Kei Vav Kei. So Yismechu Hashamayim V'Sogel Ha'aretz. In our world, before Mashiach comes, before the Gula comes, it's only Yismechu Hashamayim. In Shamayim, there's always Simcha, because there's always clear revelation about Kodesh Baruch Hu. And people when we say people experience in this world, Me'ein Olam Haba, It means they go up and they experience something, whether it's on Shabbos, whether it's on Yom Tov, whether it's a Purim, whether it's you're learning. So you experience that Yismuchol Shamayim. But what's lacking in this world is the Sogel Oretz, the land in the world, in Olam Hazeh itself. We don't have that rejoicing in the land. So therefore, there's a Simcha, which exists in Shamayim, but there's no V'sogel, no rejoicing in the land. When Mashiach comes, when Amalek is destroyed, when there's no more evil in the world, then it's not just going to be Yismichu HaShamayim, but it's also going to be V'sogel Haaretz. So when the Kisei is showing, when we see the Aleph of Hashem, which is hiding behind the Kisei, when the name of Hashem is showing, when it's Yismichu HaShamayim V'sogel Haaretz, that's going to be the time when we're going to have a true connection with our Kodesh Baruch Hu, and everything is going to be on a much higher level. Like the Ram says, when the Mashiach comes, the world's going to be full of knowing. Das is Hashem. Everybody's going to know about Hashem. Everybody's going to have a great, obviously, a great simcha at that time. Now, there's okay. Now I wanted to along these lines. It says, "Milchama Hashem Amalek midor dor." It says in that same passage, there's a war against Hashem midor dor. Dor, generation, generation. And the door there is spelled Dalid Resh, not Dalid Vav Resh, spelled Dor. When we say in Kedusha, Yimloch Hashem Elam Kayach Tzion L'Dor Vador, it also is Dalid Resh, but there it's different. It says not door, midor, but Dor Vador. There's a Vav which connects. Why in some places is the Vav connect, and why in some places the Vav not connect? So the answer is very simple, I think. The answer is that if Amalek comes, when Am Yisrael doesn't have a sense of history going back to Matan Torah. L'dor v'dor nagid God lecha. The whole point of Am Yisrael's generation has to be connected to generation. Every generation has to be connected. We have to look back to Mamad Ar Sinai and see what amazing nation we have, Mamlechus Kohanim B'Goy Kadosh. When it's not connected, when it's door, that's when we have to wage war against Amalek, because then we don't look at ourselves with this wonderful mission and great path which we have. So each generation is separate, not connected to its history. That's when you get problems. So now there's a pasuk in by the curse of Adam Arisha. It says, "Kotes v'dardar tatzmiach loch v'achaltos esav hasadeh." As coats of thorns, v'dardar. Dardar is another type of thorn. Actually, the Ibn Ezra says it's an artichoke, but it's something thorny. Will grow for you, and you eat the esav hasadeh, the grass of the field. So I wanted to say that this refers to all the people who are going to oppress Am Yisrael throughout the generations. Coats, it's Egypt. It says at the beginning of Parashat Shmos, in the beginning of Sefer Shmos, "Vayakutzu mipnei bnei Yisrael." The Egyptians felt that they were like cut up with thorns because of the Jews, and they, because they felt that way, they cut us up with the thorns. Dar is the same letters as dor, and this is Amalek. Amalek, it says Milchama Hashem Amalek midor. So dar is the war against Amalek. Esav Hasadeh, those are all the other people who oppress Am Yisrael. Like it says, Bifrach Rishoyim, we say this in Kabbalah Shabbos, in the Shiur Shalom B'Shabbos, Bifrach Rishoyim kamo Esav. Rishoyim grow up like the grass of the field. So we have the Mitzrayim, Amalek, and all the Rishoyim mentioned by hint in the curse to which is given to Adam Rishon. I was just told, you know what? Yeah, first of all, there are all these physical curses, but you should know, because of this Aveira which you committed, there's going to have to be galus. There's going to have to be suffering in the world. And kotes v'dardar v'tatzmiach lava chaltas esav hasadeh. These are the things which are going to happen to you, not just physically, but also in terms of history, right? So what's the Eitzah? What do we do about that? So it says, B'zeas hapecha tocha lechem ad shuvcha l'adama. It says, with the sweat of your brow, you eat bread, and then you until you return to the ground. Now, return to the ground, the pasuk means that until you return to the grave, right, until you die, your whole life is going to be full of zeas lapecha tochal lechem. So you're full of eating by the sweat until you finally get to die and to rest, so to speak. So, but Chazal say that Torah has to be learned be'ema, be'yira, be'resis, u'bezeh. It's got to be learned with fear, with awe, with trembling, and with sweat. In other words, you have to put, like Havdil, Winston Churchill said, during World War II, all I have to give is blood, toil, tears, and sweat. Right? This is this idea. That's what you sweat into Torah. So what is this? So therefore, if you learn Torah, and it says, Zeas apecha, there's a fascinating medrash which says, the pasuk says, Af chachmasi amdali, which literally means also my wisdom was stood for me. My wisdom helped me out at all times. But then I forget which Tana says af also means afapi, despite everything else. In other words, when you learn Torah, it's easy to learn Torah. That's not a big deal, right? So if it's easy, it's easy. When you Torah and it's tough to learn Torah, it's afapi, despite things going wrong. That Torah has much more of an impact. And that's Torah which you remember also much better. Because if it was a challenge, you have to face a challenge in order to do it. You remember things where you were challenged. That's why if you learn things more in depth, they're more challenging, you remember better than things which you learn superficially. So, bezeas apecha, right? You have to, with the sweat of your brow, you have to learn Torah, despite all the difficulties, with challenges. Tochal lechem. Chazal say that tochal lechem means l'chu lachmu b'lachmi. Go eat my bread, which Hashem says to us means that you should learn Torah. If you learn Torah through Torah, then you'll be able to go back. Ad shuvcha adama, go back to Eretz Yisrael. Right? In other words, we're talking about golus. What's going to let you go back to Eretz Yisrael to have golus? Again, there's a simple meaning, which means you're going to have to eat with it's going to be tough to get your food. But there's a deeper meaning also, which is that if you learn Torah, then you can go back to Eretz Yisrael. And I want to add something to that, which is if a person, Chazal say in Maseches Brachos, ein lakosh baruch arba amos shel halacha, el kosh baruch lama arba shel halacha. Hashem only has in this world the 4 amos of halacha. What does it mean, the 4 amos of halacha? It means wherever we learn Torah, I think it's the Maharal, it says, wherever in the Torah, even if it's not in Eretz Yisrael, at that time, when we're learning, in that place, it's as if we're in Eretz Yisrael. And it's a hint of that in Gemara Brachos. Gemara Brachos says that, how can you get, if you live in Chutz La'aretz, how do you get to Olam Haba? You don't have the schus of Eretz Yisrael. And they say there that Rabbi Yochanan says, if you even in Chutz La'aretz, if you go to the shul and the Beis Medrash and you spend time there, it's as if you're in Eretz Yisrael. So it's not just that at the end of time, if we learn enough Torah, we're going to go back to Eretz Yisrael. But it means even now, in Golus, if you learn Torah, then and during that time, it's as if you're in Eretz Yisrael. So like I said before, Amalek is the Amalek is midor dor, and again the way to fight Amalek is the dor v'dor nagid golecha, to make sure that that's not, and here too it says dar dar without the vav. If we don't, and this is a plug, of course, for learning Jewish history, but if we don't know history, we don't know our past, then we can't feel what we're all about. We know that only if we know what we're all about can we feel how wonderful it is to be Jewish, how wonderful it is to have Torah, how wonderful it is to be able to be part of this great nation. And that is what gives us the power to withstand all the opposition of Amalek. It says about Amalek, Lo Yirei Elokim. The fundamental principle of Amalek is they don't care about God. They're like Richard Dawkins. God doesn't play a role by them, right? They simply ignore God. And we know that how people ignore God is because they don't study about what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done for us. Ela shebechol dor v'dor omdim aleinu chaloseinu. You say Nagara. In each and every generation, chol dor v'dor, they stand against us in order to try and defeat us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu matzeh miyada. But Hashem saves us in every generation. So that we have to think about that and about how Hashem saved us and about how we have the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that helps us to overcome Amalek and to destroy and erase the negative things which Amalek, negative influences of Amalek upon us in this world. And we shall be zeichet to have such a Shabbos Zachar and have such a Purim. And perhaps next week we'll talk a little bit more about Purim. But in the meantime, I thank you very much for coming
Thank you.
today. And we should be
Thank
zeichet to
you.
learn more. Take care.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Rebbe.
Shabbos.
See you
Thank
tomorrow. See
you.
you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day, Rebbe.
You too.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
And I am funny.